It was designed to feed starving civilians. Instead, it became one of the largest corruption scandals in global history. The UN program that lost billions while the world watched. In the 1990s, the world believed it had found a solution to a humanitarian crisis. A program designed to feed starving children, to provide medicine to hospitals, to prove that even sanctions could have a human face. It was called the United Nations Oil for Food Program. But behind the speeches and press releases, something else was happening. Money was moving, deals were being cut, and billions of dollars were quietly disappearing. Not stolen by criminals in the shadows, but siphoned through one of the largest humanitarian programs ever created. This is the story of how a system built to save lives became a pipeline for corruption. Who/where/when. To understand the oil for food scandal, we have to rewind to the early 1990s. After Iraq's invasion of Kuwait, the country was hit with sweeping international sanctions. Oil exports were restricted. Imports were tightly controlled. The goal was to weaken the regime, not the population. But that's not what happened. Inside Iraq, hospitals ran out of medicine. Food shortages worsened. Civilians paid the price. By 1995, global pressure mounted. The United Nations proposed a compromise. Iraq would be allowed to sell oil. The money would be placed in UN-controlled accounts. And those funds would be used strictly for food, medicine, and humanitarian supplies. No weapons, no luxury goods, no direct access to cash. On paper, it looked airtight. In reality, it became a masterclass in exploitation. How? The system was games. At the center of the program was trust. The UN trusted suppliers. Suppliers trusted middlemen. And everyone trusted that oversight would catch abuse. That trust was misplaced. Here's how the scheme worked. Iraq sold oil at discounted prices to selected buyers. Those buyers would resell the oil at full market value. The difference, the profit, went back to the Iraqi regime through kickbacks. At the same time, humanitarian suppliers inflated the prices of food and medicine. The UN paid the inflated cost. The excess money was quietly diverted. Shell companies appeared overnight. Middlemen collected fees. Politically connected individuals received vouchers worth millions. And the most disturbing part? Many of these transactions were visible. Paper trails existed. Warnings were raised. Internal memos flagged red flags. But enforcement was weak, because enforcing the rules would have meant confronting powerful interests. Let me blow your mind. For years, the program expanded. By the early 2000s, it had processed over $60 billion in oil sales. Then the truth began to surface. Independent investigations revealed that billions of dollars had been siphoned off. Not hundreds of millions. Billions. Officials uncovered. Kickbacks paid directly to the Iraqi regime. Bribes to foreign companies. Political figures across multiple countries receiving oil vouchers. Oversight mechanisms that existed mostly on paper. The program hadn't just been exploited. It had been systematically abused. And the UN had missed it. Or worse, ignored it. Consequences without accountability. When the scandal became public, outrage followed. Investigations were launched. Reports were written. Hearings were held. Some officials resigned. A few companies paid fines. But the system itself? It survived. No senior global figures went to prison. No sweeping reforms dismantled the structure that allowed the abuse. The program was shut down quietly. The narrative shifted, and the world moved on. For the civilians who were supposed to be helped, nothing changed. For the institutions involved, lessons were noted, but rarely enforced. Why this story still matters. The oil for food scandal teaches a dangerous lesson. That corruption doesn't always wear a mask. Sometimes it wears a humanitarian badge. That systems designed to help the vulnerable can be captured by those who understand bureaucracy better than morality. And that transparency without accountability is just theater. This wasn't a failure of compassion. It was a failure of control. And it proved something deeply unsettling. That even the world's most trusted institutions are only as ethical as the systems guarding them. If you want more hidden files like this, real stories where power, money, and silence collide, subscribe. Because the most damaging crimes aren't always violent. Sometimes they happen in boardrooms,